morning, bright by the wise words of eminent speakers from the corporate world and beautiful by their esteemed presence on a common platform today. On behalf of Rukmani Devi Institute of Advanced Studies, I, Ariba,
And I, Daniel,
feel privileged to welcome you all to the HR Conclave 2018 on ensuring a skill-based transformation. The conclave will witness an extensive exchange of knowledge, ideas, and opinions to enlighten us all on facing the challenges of future.
we would like to extend a warm and hearty welcome to our esteemed keynote speakers for the day. Dr. Blossom Kochhar, Chairperson, Blossom Kochhar Group of Companies, Ms. Jasmine Weldmann, an international life coach and MD at JWLCC, Mr. Indranil Roy, Learning and Development Lead at Accenture, and Mr. Pankaj Wadhwa, Founder, Tangible Learning Solutions.
We are also honored to have with us today Professor Dr. Raman Garg, Director Rdias, who has been a constant pillar of support for organizing all such insightful events. I would request Director Sir to please felicitate our keynote speakers. Thank you so much, sir. We also request... Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
We also request Convener HR Conclave 2018, Ms. Tanuja Saroha, to felicitate Director Rdias, Professor Dr. Raman Garg. Thank you all for gracing this conclave by your presence.
Before we illuminate ourselves in the light of knowledge, we first invoke the blessings of Goddess Saraswati by lighting the flame of wisdom. Hence, we light the lamp to bow down to knowledge as the greatest of all forms of wealth. I would request all the dignitaries and our student representatives to please come forward and light the lamp.
शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपो हरतु मे पापम् सन्ध्यादीपनमोऽस्तु ते ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्त्वं ज्योतिषां प्रभुरव्ययः ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्त्वं ज्योतिषां प्रभुरव्ययः आरोग्यं देहि पुत्रम्.
Before we move further, we would like to apprise you all about the noble vision and mission of Rukmani Devi Institute of Advanced Studies. The roots of this institution go back to the year 1986 when a society named Seth Pokharmal Educational Society was established by Sri K.C. Garg and his wife Mrs. Anita Garg with the aim to serve the society by imparting quality education to children. The stepping stone towards this effort was the foundation of Rukmani Devi Public School in Pitampura, which perpetuated the name of their revered father Seth Pokharmal and their respected mother Srimati Rukmani Devi, who were having their vision for education of masses in India.
Through its concerted efforts, the society has created institutions of international standard that impart quality education right from the kindergarten stage to postgraduate level programs at affordable prices. Sage Pokarmal Educational Society operates several institutes under its umbrella. Rukmini Devi Public School Junior Wing, Rukmini Devi Public School Pitampura, Rohini and Sonipat, Rukmini Devi Lalit Kala Kendra, Rukmini Devi College of Education, and Rukmini Devi Institute of Advanced Studies.
We take honor in sharing that Rukmani Devi Institute of Advanced Studies is accredited with A+ grade by the prestigious body of National Assessment and Accreditation Council. It is the first college affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University to have achieved this milestone. Rdias is also a category A+ institute judged by State Fee Regulatory Committee, Government of NCT Delhi. The institute has been awarded highest category A grading by Joint Assessment Committee of GGS IPU and Department of Higher Education, Government of NCT Delhi. The institute is ISO certified and is run under the aegis of Seth Pokharmal Educational Society.
Taking a step forward toward living up to its noble vision, Rdias is also contributing towards the society and environment by initiating eco-friendly practices. This event, conducted by following the policy of no plastic, is one such endeavor of ours. As an initial step, eco-friendly pens and paper bags have been used in the kits that have been provided for this session. We believe small steps in this direction can lead to a big transition for a safe environment for us to live in. We would now like to invite our Honorable Director, Professor Dr. Raman Garg, to please extend a welcome note to our speakers.
Dr. Kochhar, Madam Weldmann, Shri Roy, Shri Wadhwa, distinguished guests, delegates, Madam Tanuja, Head Corporate Cell, Madam Namita, deans, students, and my dear faculty members. On behalf of management of Rdias, faculty and students, I welcome all the delegates. At Rdias, our efforts are to provide our students a platform where they expose themselves to business world right from day one. We encourage our students to take life projects, industry skilled building programs, in addition to their routine curriculum activities. Our long associations with forums such as TIE, SOCHM, FICCI, CII, NHRD are but a step in this direction, where students are given opportunities to attend events, seminar, conferences, roundtables, etc. I'm happy to note that this conclave today hosts eminent professionals and intellectuals who will enlighten us with their vast pools of knowledge and wisdom. I personally will immensely benefit from the discourses that take place here today. In a short span of decade, working with my fellow students and colleague faculty members, I have realized the importance of working with industry. I strongly believe that if an academic institution cannot meet the expectations of an industry, it fails its purpose and it may cease to exist. On similar note, if industry ignores its responsibility in equipping its human resources with the relevant skill sets, it also fails its purpose. Both academia and industry complement each other. Articles, news reports, opinions by stalwarts all point to the prevailing gap between what is desired in terms of skill set and what is available in terms of skill set in graduates. And I will not be wrong to note that this gap is widening with the advent of newer tools and techniques which are not being introduced, which are being practiced in boardrooms but are not being introduced in classrooms. And to me, personally, I find that academia finds this space very unsettling. We can't accept the idea of writing newer books each year, newer question papers each year, correcting newer answer sheets each year. And we love basic principles. We love our first order basic principles, our theories, our philosophies, and it is difficult to part away with them. And at least to an academician mind, to half of my mind, these theories, these philosophies, they do not go away like product life cycle or a software life cycle. They're more immortal. To me, they're immortal as God. And and to me, God created Kotler, who created immortal principles of management, of marketing. As academicians, we also love our literature. Uh, we love to be the tortoise. We like to look around while on the run. We like to savor the nature. Unlike the hare, which is very focused, agile, and has great speed and delivery. So I think this parable symbolizes the state of the industry academia interaction in this country. Um, Maybe I need Alexa to calculate who will win the race in 21st century. Uh, I'm not sure whether the tortoise will win or whether the hare will win. But for a solution to the unemployability conundrum or the gap, to address the gap, I think it is very important that the tortoise and the hare hold each other's hand and run together and finish the race together. There's no race, they both win. And they both must win for our students to win. Nevertheless, they say what will be, will be. The future is not ours to see. And the wise men also say that we must embrace the present. So I come back to the present. And I feel thrilled and fortunate to stand and speak among such an august gathering of intellectuals. And I look forward to your deliberations here today. I'm sure I'll learn much from your wise words. With this, I once again thank all the delegate members, faculty members, distinguished guests for the time at Rdias. Thank you, Namaskar.
Thank you, sir.
Living up to the society's vision, we at Rdias are proud to host this HR conclave on ensuring a skill-based transformation. This fourth industrial revolution is already changing labor markets, and the last few years have witnessed the emergence of technologies that are capable of altering the social, technological, and environmental landscape. Developments in artificial intelligence, robotics, nanotechnology, and much more are changing the skills workers need to keep up in ever-evolving employment setup. Skills instability or the rapid change in skill requirements will affect the majority of employees in the coming years.
As technology advances, technical changes create challenges that human resource managers must face. From a degree or degree based approach to a more radical skill based approach, the HR managers of today are now showing an inclination towards skill based hiring to adapt to the digitally transforming world. In light of this, the aim of this conclave is to keep abreast of the ways by which we can embrace the big change by addressing its potential in various facets of business, namely marketing, finance, and human resource. To achieve the same, experts from various fields are here together on one platform to deliberate and share their ideas on the theme.
It is now time to know more about our keynote speakers for the conclave. We have with us Dr. Blossom Kochhar, the pioneer of aromatherapy in India. Madam is the chairperson of Blossom Kochhar Group of Companies, and her name is synonymous with successful brands Blossom Kochhar Aroma Magic and Blossom Kochhar College of Creative Arts and Design. She has many awards and accolades to her name, including the Best Women Entrepreneur of the Year Award, the International Women's Day Award, the Gates and Custodian Person of the Year Award, the Universal Humanity Award, and also the Lifetime Achievement Award for her contribution to Indian hair, beauty, and spa industry.
We also We also have with us today the esteemed presence of Ms. Jasmine Weldmann, an international life coach, corporate and public program, MD at JWLCC. She is a nurturing teacher, a limit-pushing coach, a caring guide, and an understanding friend. She is one of the most qualified life coaches in India. Madam has conceptualized and conducted many seminars she was a part of. She has delivered speeches, appeared in multiple TV shows across Germany, and has wide ranging knowledge and expertise in everything from self leadership, meditation, to weight management.
We are pleased to have with us Mr. Indranil Roy, Learning and Development Lead with Accenture. Sir has over 18 years of rich experience in areas such as learning and development, strategy consulting, and e-learning. He has been engaged with top-tier global organizations in IT, IT-enabled services, BPOs, and knowledge industry domains.
We also have with us today Mr. Pankaj Wadhwa, founder Tangible Learning Solution. Sir is a seasoned learning and development professional with exposure to the full range of critical and practical tasks in this domain. Sir possesses many global and nationally acclaimed industry relevant certification along with 22 years of professional work experience in the areas of leadership development, sales and customer service, training delivery, projects and client servicing. We welcome all the dignitaries and would like to invite them to please take their seats on the dais. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
To adapt and evolve with the rapid transformation of the corporate world, the transition should begin at the basic level. Change begins with us, and for talking on this further, we would like to invite our first speaker, Dr. Blossom Kochhar, to open the forum for the session. Wherever
if you are comfortable, you can sit.
You can sit and
You
you
can
can
sit
take
and speak, ma'am.
Yeah. We have the mic over there.
Okay. Good morning. Yes, and firstly, I would like to thank Mr. Garg and all the staff of the Rukmani Devi College for inviting me here to be a speaker at this August event. And I would, it all by wonderful speakers and ladies, gentlemen, and friends. I think I'll get up. I feel better when I talk like this. Okay, I can see you all. So that will be much nicer. I would. So it's been, of course, it's a real honor to be here today and to talk about a wonderful subject called Skilling the Way of the Future. I've been here before and I really love this college and I love everything about you all and the way you go about, grooming your people and putting them out. And we've also have a lot of your people working for us now. So it is really wonderful to be here today. And so to touch on the subject again, in India, the young workforce is now, we have a really young workforce all over the world, and it's only 29 years old, the workforce that is there in India. And by 2022, we have 400 million people require employment. Now that is a real big amount. And how are we going to achieve that? Okay? So what the government has decided, and of course everyone else and in the industry, it's only skilling which can give this kind of employment. So, and how to make a bridge, like we were talking, between skilling and education. So the government has bridged that gap by setting up NSDC, National Service Defense, the NSDC, and they have put together skilling and employment, where millions of youth from all over the country are being skilled and getting ready for employment. Another thing which they are doing is they are having a whole lot of employment job fairs, which are really helping a great deal with the skilling and the education. Because we have found that education is very, very important. Like HR, we do definitely, but we also need the skilling that goes with that, which is very important. And those already practicing. And another thing which we have been doing is that those who have already skilled, now there has been a whole lot of skilled labor which have not gone into they have no certification, they have a whole nothing like that. So we are having a thing called prior learning experience. So they are also getting certified with this prior learning experience. And this is really transforming skilling and taking it underway. And definitely with all this, I see a surge in the economic growth and the social environment due to skilling, which is very, very important. Now it comes to skilling. The skilling is divided. One, of course, is skilling where you have your technology, your robotics, your thing, and like right at the moment, we are having a big competition from all over the country where it's happening over there. NSTC has it, where the government are choosing the one who wins to represent India at the World Skill Competition, which is a skilling competition. And it's really amazing to see 55 skills that are taking part in this competition, and these 55 skills will be represented, and they are all under the age of 20. And one of these people who win this competition will be taking part at the World Skills, and that which is going to be held at Kazan. And it's amazing to see the robotics, to see them doing like Maruti is one very big thing over there, and the robotics, of course, and apart from other skills like building, like hair, like beauty, like computers, like it's IT. It is amazing, these 55 skills that are there. So because education, one thing the government has found, that education is very, very important. You need the education to go through. And before there wasn't this education, either you had to take a degree or you had to just go ahead and do a skill. And we all know that if we have somebody who has to, like talk about the hair cutting. If you need a haircut, you need someone who knows about that haircut, isn't it? You can't just get somebody just like that. You need a house built or something. You need some plumbing. You need a house. You need someone who knows about it. And it's much nicer to have someone who is really qualified and skilled. So even in our offices, we have the HR, but who are they managing? They are managing these skilled people that are there. So skilling is important for anyone. And before we had to go out for that education, but now it is becoming a real important part. The education is here. It is happening in colleges. It is happening in schools. And it happens as a way of a hobby, which then becomes a profession, and added with your MBA, your HR, we have these young entrepreneurs which are really fantastic. I am really amazed to see them, and they are wonderful. And of course, when we have our companies, and we want to employ these young brains that can take us forward. This is really the way of going forward. The other thing that I have found is skilling doesn't just mean, the technical part of skilling. There is also your social skilling, which is very important. And like I deal with a whole lot of grooming, because I feel you have to be groomed. Whether you're in a skill, whether you're in a corporate, we haven't the time, of course. Now there are Skype interviews. I don't like them, honestly, because I would love to meet the person and see how they are, how they talk. But you'll find that there are, say, 5 or 10 people go for an interview. How do we select? We have, of course, our thing. There is the intelligence. But the one thing that's going to take you to be, maybe 2 are coming neck to neck, but 1 is taken. What is that one? It is this world. It is all about your external also. So you will be judged. The last part is, how do you look? How do you talk? What are you wearing? What are you dressing correctly? Are you shaking hands? Is your etiquette proper? These are a very important part, I feel, of skilling. And it is now becoming very, very important. It is not just for the corporate. Doctors are getting skilled. The hospitals are getting skilled. Nurses are getting skilled, because now everyone, one is, of course, we are so busy studying, but we also have to start thinking about how we look, how we communicate, how we are, and of course, how we deal with people, which is very, very important. That dealing, that human touch, that human thing. Like, I know, I've taken some of your people from HR, and I must say they're very good, okay? But before that, we did have a problem. I used to only tell them one thing. What is HR? Human resources. You have to have that human touch. You have to know. You have to feel them, and that is a very, very important part of it. That thing. So skilling, I feel, and I would like to urge, this is my request, which I always say. I would like to urge everyone, you have your college degree. We all went to college. But one thing that really is going to help you right through is take up a skill along with your degree. It is important, because you only use, like he was talking about the hare and the tortoise, it was fantastic. You only use one part of your brain, and you definitely need to use the other part, because we do need both parts of our brain to really get us through life. Okay? So what happens when you do academics? It's okay. Go into a skill. Take up any skill. It's going to really help you right through. Because one thing I know, it is skilling that is really going to get us there. It has to be. Skilling is the way of the future. And I don't say no, not for academics. Academics has to be there, but skilling has to go together. We both have to go together. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so Thank you so much, ma'am. Your valuable insight gave us a new perspective on the importance of skilling, including self-grooming, in today's world and the world of tomorrow. Moving on further in the area of self-development, we would now like to request Ms. Jasmine Weldmann to share her views on the same.
Very good morning, dear friends. I want to add, you covered it all when it comes to skilling, and I want to, emphasize, coming from abroad, I'm here since 6 years already, and I have seen this is so important. I can't underline this, I can't stop underlining that about skilling. May it be plumber, may it be hairdresser, may it be everything. charter accountant. I mean, really everything. So it's, I think one thing is you learn something by heart. Another one is you really own it. And you don't try to, just do it, the Jogad way, I would say. I think this is fantastic on one side. On the other side, it's like, one day, I joke sometimes, one day this is a gardener, another day is a cook, and another day is a driver. And we're talking about the basic work, which is so much required. And whatever job you apply for, you want to take, I think it's important that you are, I think, burning for that. Not just doing a job for the heck of it, because maybe there is some money or whatsoever. So that it's, something touching your heart, it's so important for you, because then it goes automatically into the depth and you become a specialist, I would say. All right, I was very thrilled when Ms. Tanuja sent us the request me to speak today to you. And I was wondering what to talk, because there's so many things. So you're in, soon, I think you graduate, you go out, and there are so many things to talk, and my time is limited, capacity in the brain is limited, and I thought, okay, I will share a story with you first of all right? The story is about Amit. He's 35 years old, he is an investment banker, and he has, he got married, the wife moved in, the typical Indian scenario still, and they got 2 kids. They lived with the family, so everything normally. And he became really, really busy with his life. So 35 is already. And as he became very busy, so he disconnected a little bit with his wife, with his kids, because he was so busy and doing great job, earning money. And then he got also a little belly because he was not moving anymore, despite he put a lot of money in some gyms. The gyms felt happy, but he was never there. And life moves on. And he was thinking, yeah, someday I think I should do something with my belly. It's like, it's not that sexy. And there's a colleague of his, Puneet. It's like a pain in the eyes. It's always agile. It's always, active, going with his gym group for hiking, and stuff like that. And of course, he's single. And it's like, and Amit feels like, hey, Puneet, so leave me out with your happiness and your enthusiasm and everything, right? So, however, so he's postponing that, right? So I have to do something for my health tomorrow. So tomorrow never comes, as we know, because today is today. So, and then one fine day, there's a colleague of his, right after a meeting which, always his boss wants to put him down, and his colleague looked a little, not good, so was sweating, and everything was a little weird with that guy, Sudhir. And then right after this meeting, he collapsed. So Amit, as a good colleague, he went with him to the ambulance, to the hospital, and he was sitting there and wondering what the heck happened to his colleague. And then the doctor came out and said, I'm sorry, are you a relative? I mean, no, I'm a colleague. So it just happened, and I took him, the ambulance, and he said, sorry, we couldn't save him. It's like, Amit said, what? He is not even my age. He was 34, not even 35. It was like in the middle of his life. It's like this happened, so it was a heart attack. It's like, how is that possible in 34? It's like, it's so common. So in India, and that's a real number, in India, out of, whoever dies in India, every 2.5 person, statistics, dies because of a heart attack. It's like, oh. So this was for Amit a wake-up call. So out of a sudden, then he reached out to Puneet and asked him, for some recommendations, etc. And then he started working out. He started changing his diet, he started meditating, and he also started, in coaching sessions to do something with his beliefs and values and what he wants to do, etc. So throughout this transformation journey, he reconnected first of all with his wife. So his wife helped him, when it comes to diet, to make this healthy food also tasty. He played, again with his kids. So everything was a little more smooth, a little more balanced, because he took care of his base. So after, understanding also a couple of coaching sessions, this is about understanding yourself, getting to know, etc. it's a discovery. He realized, actually he remembered that he wanted to do something else in his life. He didn't want to become an investment banker, but because of his pressure, the pressure of his parents, mainly his father, he's chosen the path what his father asked him to choose. And his brother wanted to become a rock star and he failed, so then it's the other only son, so what to do? So Amit had a lot of pressure and he went into some other direction. However, he wanted to become a confectionist. It's like, what job is that, confectionist? Come on. So this story goes on, and then he is either going his way, he's turning because he's just 35, or he's just continuing in the way he's doing already because he's already 35. Come on. Why I'm telling you this story, I will come to that. Now you reached a point in life where you can choose, right? So I think in half a year you graduate, or you're going to graduate somewhere soon. And what then? Maybe you want to become an entrepreneur, you will create your own enterprise, or you want to sign up for a job. So if you join a company, so you have to go for an interview, right? And maybe this happened already. Maybe you are start thinking, hey, what I want to do, etc. However, you will apply for some jobs and you will get an invitation for an interview. And I wanted to talk with you about this because I see this weekly. When I recruit people, I hire people on the behalf of a corporate or even for my own company. It's so important that you know who you are. So this is a big thing, right? I want you to really think of what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are you convinced about? And I want you to be convinced about, to believe in yourself. And when I ask people, it's like, why my company or why that company? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? We have tricky questions sometimes, in the department, HR or whoever hires. And whoever is really confident answers all these questions. Then it comes to salary. What is your expected salary? And a lot of people are breaking there. It's like, ma'am, you tell me. It's like, sorry. That's very good. 10,000 bucks. Is that good? Hell no. I need you to understand your value. This is not you. You're not selling yourself, but you're selling your services in whatever way. And I want you to understand, this is not a one-way street. You don't do the favor, the company a favor, or the company doesn't do you a favor in hiring you. Oh, poor guy, poor girl. It's equal. You have something to give, and the company or corporate has something to give. And I want you to be very clear about that. And when it comes to salary, you should also be clear in that. You can't tell the other person. If there's a salary package, they will tell you anyway. Okay? So I thought, as I had so many things in mind, I could tell you, so maybe there are one or two things you can pick. I think it is important, if you're carrying on, to do things as you do still right now in the future. What does it mean? Creating the base. I talked about the base. So who is playing cricket here? Anybody who's playing cricket? Oh, wow. Anybody who's... yeah, don't raise your hand too high. Otherwise I would see it. So anybody who is doing some fitness or sports or any kind of activities? Guys, what are you doing? Okay, yoga? This is the same people. All right. Why is it important? I could really elaborate more, but my time is limited. Important is that you are moving, because it's not just for a nice physique and stuff, it also helps you to think sharp, literally. Another one is about food, another is about social life. So your friends, meeting all kind, of family members you like, etc. And I would like you to keep this in mind, to carry on and not entering into a red race, as I call it. Because you're so eager to work, and then you think you have to work really hard. And I think this is usually not the case. You should work smart. Hard is, of course, also there, but it doesn't mean you have to work for 14 hours. or calling, answering at night. There are still crazy stories there. Cell phone is you make yourself a slave when you're always carrying on with your cell phone, answering no matter what time it is, etc. So another thing I want to share with you is I want you to think about whoever is around you. What are the people? Are they actually helping you? They're lifting you up in your mood, in your whatever way actually. Do you feel positive and happy with them, or do you feel actually negative and actually once you leave that person, you feel actually bad? Or anyhow worse as you entered this conversation. I'm talking about toxic people. And toxic people can be everybody. Can be a neighbor, can be a colleague, can be sometimes even a family member. You got the point I'm thinking of? Yes. So toxic people means they draining your energy. They just take energy out of you. And I want you to be aware of that. And you can avoid those kind of people, usually. Okay. As I shared in the beginning of my speech, I was wondering what to talk about. And that means I prepared. And I want you to do the same. And I also want you to have the courage to do what you think is the right way. So, as I was in your age, 20, 25, I guess, I had no idea. But there was nobody who said, okay, you have to do this one or that one. I just went with this, one step at a time. I had this idea what I wanted to do, and then I had another idea what to do. So that means you're not, learning something and then you sign up for a job and then you carrying on throughout the life. I think this was in the last generation or last to last. So this is a little obsolete now. So if you go one way and then you find out, there's actually a little different direction, I want you to have the courage to say, okay, all right, so I have to choose another way because this somehow doesn't work out. This is my one life. Why I shared this story with Amit about you, about Amit with you, is very simple. He, woke up after 10, 15 years and to realize that he lived a life which was actually not his. And I don't want you to do the same. It's very simple. I don't want you to wake up and it's like, actually, this was actually not what I wanted to do. And of course, you have to stretch your mind, you have to talk, you have to see what jobs we have, what Blossom just also said. There is a variation. So I talked, by the way, about Amit. This is the main character in the book, which I have written. It's called Change Me. And last, I want you to just take these words. I want you to accept yourself as you are, believing in yourself. And I want you to, not try to be like somebody else, because this role is already taken, as we know. So have the guts to be at your best, to be your best self, and to go and conquer whatever is there to conquer. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was indeed motivational for all of us, and I think all of us have understood the real meaning of burning for the job and balancing one's life to become specialist by learning and practicing new skills. To discuss about strategies in learning and change management, we would now like to request Mr. Indranil Roy to enlighten us with his views.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Garg. Thanks to the faculty members. It's a great opportunity. In fact, to come back among students is one of the blessings of anybody in the corporate world, by the way. And we kind of we've heard Madam Kochhar and Ma'am speak about the rat race, right? It's very, very important just to let you know that, and I confess that we in the corporate world almost get into a rat race without even wanting to do so, by the way, right? It's like it draws you to a kind of a race that you would want to avoid. Now, I actually stand here before you today to tell you about some insider information about skills. Right? When I say insider information, uh, I think all of you, as you are going through your education and trainings, you are all being groomed to get your knowledge in place, right? You know the difference between knowledge and skills? Can anybody tell me, can anybody hazard a guess? What's the difference between knowledge, skills, strengths? Anybody would want to take a guess? Yes. Right. Yes. Absolutely. So application of knowledge is skills basically, right? How do you apply your knowledge? So what you learn in your books is just that. Those are pages of books. Skills, right? That's more important. That takes you where you want to go, right? So when I first came to this place, and I thank Deepak for having reached out to me. And when he talked about this, I was mostly thinking about very hard skills that people bring to the workplace, right? The technical skills. When you say skills of the future, people only talk about the technical skills nowadays, right? What skills do they talk about? You need to be good in artificial intelligence, cloud. What else? SaaS computing, okay? Blockchain. Yes. IoT, Internet of Things. You know Internet of Things? How many of you have Alexa at your home? Some of you have, right? You've seen in Amazon selling Alexa aggressively? That's Internet of Things, by the way. That's getting linked to things you just don't know about, right? So these are all the technology skills of the future, right? There are a lot of other things. I'm thinking of big data analytics. You've heard of big data analytics, robotics. Somebody talked about RPAs, robotic process automation, right? And industries are using it in all ways possible nowadays. But all of these are entry skills. These will take you to the corporates or companies or wherever you want to go. What will keep you there? What will make you stick there? What will make you grow in those organizations? What are those skills? Are those skills uh, are those skills things that you learn in a classroom using books? No. Which are those skills? What happens? Where do those skills come from? What are those skills? Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So taking some initiatives, right? What happens? Let me give you some data information. So we have the World Economic Forum, and they came out with a list of skills for people. They say that these are certain skills that you need to groom within yourself and within the environment that you stay in, if you want to stay relevant, if you want to actually grow in an organization. Let me give you some of those skills, okay? uh, Complex problem solving skills. This is not a hard skill, right? It's complex problem solving skills. What does it mean? It means to be able to launch yourself into situations you've not been before, situations and circumstances, challenges that you've not seen before, and actually get into that problem and trying to solve it. How do you build that skill? Taking initiatives, right? Right now, in colleges, I know that you in your institute do a lot of programs about various aspects of your education, right? So how do you take those as challenges to actually get in the thick of things and try to solve complex problems? Okay, then I'll talk about critical thinking. Critical thinking. Now, remember, these skills the World Economic Forum has identified are not skills that you will use only at a certain stage of your life or career. These are your lifelong skills. Whether it is a managing director of a company or the freshman who has joined the company, everybody will need these skills to stay, to stick, to grow. And these are the important things. Critical thinking skills. I don't need to really tell you more about them. Creativity. How do you come up with creative solutions? How do there are going to be multiple challenges that will face you, whatever you want to do, whatever task you take up, whether it's a project that you do on finance or human resource. How do you be more creative about it, right? Some of them are very important. People management skills, emotional intelligence. I just wanted to pick up on emotional intelligence. People talked about IQ for a long donkey's years. No more relevant. People are talking about EQ now. You know EQ, right? All of you? I'm sure the whole room understands EQ. How do you demonstrate EQ is more important. Just knowing it doesn't help. So the moment you get into such situation when you have to deal with people, with circumstances around you where other people are involved, how do you use your emotional intelligence and build your emotional quotient to address circumstances and situations? And people observe you for it, by the way. Okay? More. Cognitive flexibility, being nimble. We talked about the race between the hare and the tortoise, right? The way, how is that race important? How is the hare able to gauge longer distance fast? Because of its nimbleness. What does the tortoise do? It will use its other faculties to try and keep pace with the hare. As Dr. Garg said, it has to be a win-win race. It cannot be one person wins, the other loses. So if somebody has to be nimble in some place, somebody will have to use their other faculties to ensure that they keep up pace. Right? So I think together with all the hard skills that you gradually learn, all the skills we've talked about 54 skills that have been identified or earmarked by the government of India to develop so that people get into livelihood and stuff. But what will keep you in your job, whether you get into your own enterprise or you get into a company and a corporate, all you will need to do is ensure that you bring these talents that you have and develop them to ensure that they remain by your side as you navigate your way through the complex corporate culture, right? So these are mostly what I call the basic life skills that will need to sustain. There are other important things, and I thought I'll just quickly touch upon leadership skills of the future, for example. Okay, so initially people, when anybody talked about leadership skills, people used to think about somebody who is very senior in the hierarchy of an organization. That person being the leader needs to display a certain set of skills, and we'll call those the leadership skills. Now it is no more true. We look at leadership at all levels. How are you going to build those skills as you enter the workforce? That's important. I'll give you some more examples of those. Empathy. Empathy talks about, how do you really take care of your as well as your peoples on the team you work with? How do you take care of everybody's body, heart, mind, soul to ensure that everybody does their job to the maximum potential they bring to the table? Right? So that's important. Then we're talking about poise. How confident and how much you understand your circumstance and how much you are able to convert that into confidence. Okay, so whatever level you are at, your confidence will kind of motivate people around you. That's very important. Then we're talking about ambition, right? Ambition is important. People talk about ambition. But how do you know somebody who is ambitious? Ambition is a very negative term in certain connotation if you look at it, right? If you say that she is very ambitious or he is very ambitious, it sounds as if that person is willing to do anything to get up the ladder. Now, that cannot be a leadership skill, right, if it is perceived in that manner. it has to be perceived in another manner. So ambition, if it can be perceived as vision, for example, if somebody together with his or her own ambition can project a vision that this is where I want to be and I want all of us to be, that projection of that ambition into vision will make you a leader. Right? And one last point I think I'll talk about is optimism. Being optimistic is good, right? You need to be optimistic about whatever you are doing, whatever you need to understand. But the question is, how do you communicate that? If you are able to communicate your optimism, if you are able to infect the surroundings around you, that will make you being perceived as a leader. Right? So these are certain, what shall I say, soft skills, if you want to call them, or professional skills, but these skills are important together with all the hard skills you are learning in your classrooms every day and getting certified on to take on those jobs. So I thought I'll share with you some of this insider information. I'm sure, if you want to practice this, and we can always talk about these in details later on, please feel free. And once again, I thought, thank you for this time.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights about the challenges of tomorrow that encompass the technical skills. Now I understand that it's the soft skill that will take us beyond the hurdles of technology.
After gaining knowledge about how to reskill ourselves through self development, motivation, and change, it's now time to understand the technicalities behind them. We now invite Mr. Pankaj Wadhwa to share the practical aspects of adapting to this changing world.
Okay, so very good morning. Have you been harassed by my previous colleagues? Huh? Why so low energy? Good morning, I said. That's better. So my friend is trying to set up this laptop, and I thought let me start this conversation. First of all, a very big thank you to your management for inviting me. And I'm happy and I'm delighted to be with future leaders, of the industry. And I thank you, a big thank you to my fellow speakers for sharing, their perspective, for sharing their experience, for sharing their expertise with all of you. And it does take experience to talk about all these things. What I want to do is, in my session, I want to make it a little bit more interactive, okay, rather than being a one-way street. So I would request you to participate. I would request you to answer in case if I ask you a question, okay? Is that manageable for you? Okay. And I'm using a laptop and I'm using this presentation to have a better structure, okay, in our conversation. You see, we all are talking about technology, isn't it? And the biggest thing about technology is that it has the knack to fail us at the time we need it the most, isn't it? Is it on? Okay. So how many of you know this car? Please raise your hand. How many of you? Which car is this? Okay. Now, how many of you have one of these at your home? How many of you? Not even a single one? Not even a single. Oh, you have. Okay, give him a big hand. He has. Okay. Now, if you look at Ambassador, did you know these facts? Did you know that Ambassador was the first car produced in India starting in 1958? And for many decades, it was the only car produced in India. For many decades. And not long back, it enjoyed a market share of 70%. And in 2014, its market share came down to 0.12%. A big fall, isn't it? From 70% to 0.12%. What happened? I will talk about it, what happened, but yes, you are almost there. What happened? Know this mobile? I mean, you go back and ask your parents which was the first mobile they used. Most of them would say Nokia. And if they are of my age, they will say Nokia 3310. Isn't it? How many of you still use Nokia? Forget about 3310. Nokia as a brand. Sorry? How many of you? Two people? Three people? Out of how many are we here? How many are we here? Four, five, six. That's it. Yeah? Very few people. I mean, I have nothing against Nokia, by the way. And I have nothing against Ambassador. So don't take me personal. And if you have your affiliations and your feelings towards these brands, I don't want to hurt them. Okay? Now, but did you know that it was the king of mobile phones? Yeah. Undisputed king, 60% market share in 2006. 60%. Now, if you look at, it doesn't even have 5% market share. Yeah. First ever call which was made on cell phone in India was through a Nokia handset and through a Nokia network. Through a Nokia network, not through a Airtel or a Vodafone network. It was a Nokia network. It was the first company to introduce a user menu in Hindi in 2000. First company. It introduced first camera phone in 2002 and first text message in Hindi. Yeah. What happened? Failed to adapt technology. And there are many other brands. Know this brand? What term or phrase do we use for pictures which are really excellent? What term or phrase do we use? Absolutely, Kodak movement. The only problem is Kodak is nowhere. Nowhere to be seen. I mean, did you know that if you look at digital camera, Kodak was the pioneer in digital camera. They were the first ones to introduce digital camera. And they could have easily, established a multi-million dollar or a multi-million dollar business. What happened? In their case, technology wasn't an issue. They were the first one to introduce. What happened? Could be. I'm not here to dispute your reasons, but just to share my perspective. Uh, Compact. How many of you know Compact? 19. If you look at 80s to 90s, they used to rule the laptop world. Where are they now? They're just a brand. They're just a hologram HP, isn't it? Nothing more than that. Sun Microsystem, Yahoo. I mean, the list will go on and on. there would be many contenders for this list, and I have nothing against all of them. Okay. Now, did you know that there are only 60 companies that appear in the Fortune 500 list in both 1995 and 2017, which means only 12%, okay, and fewer than 1 in 9 Fortune companies are still on the list 61 years later in 2017. And if we go by this rate, in 2088, majority of the companies which are there will either vanish or will be acquired or will merge because of the changing needs, because of the changing technology, because of the changing customer preferences. And that's the hard reality of outside world. That's the hard reality of the corporate world. So what happened to these great organizations? What happened to these great organizations which were once upon a time ruling the market? Okay. Their speed of learning was slower than the speed of, make sense? Yeah. Maybe they were not able to learn new technologies. Maybe they were not able to learn new customer preferences, new platforms, new demographics. I mean, the list goes on. But one thing is for sure, think about it. Their speed of change was slower than the speed of, I mean, their speed of learning was slower than the speed of. And in today's fast-paced world, both the amount and the rate of change is at its peak. Make sense? Do you agree? Both the amount and the rate at which change is happening is at its peak these days. And technology is accelerating it further only. Think about it for a moment. Yeah. And by the way, HR is no exception. Human resource and most of the human resource practices is no exception. They are affected by this change as much as other businesses are and other business practices are. Now, if you look at top 6 HR technology trends that will change the face of business and HR practices, what would those be? Some of them have already come, some of them are developing, some of them are yet to come, but they are, I mean, they would be there. Okay, blockchain, AI foundation, yeah, intelligent apps and analytics, virtual reality, digital twins, conversation platforms. I don't want to get into the depth of what these technologies are because that's not what we are discussing today, and we don't have the time to do that. Uh, but they are facing the change of HR. They are facing the change of HR practices, despite the fact, okay, despite the fact that these were not designed for HR in the first place. Nobody designed AI for HR. Nobody designed blockchain for HR. The first application of blockchain was Bitcoin. Yeah, nobody designed it. Nobody designed none of these practices, but they are still here, and they are bound to change HR. They are bound to change business. Okay, just to give you a quick insight of what I'm saying here is, going forward, blockchain will be used to verify candidates more efficiently. Blockchain will be used to manage payroll, make global compensation processes less costly and more timely. AI foundation will improve the decision making. It will reinvent work processes and revamp the customer experience. Okay, intelligent apps and analytics, say for example, they are going to improve employee performance. They are going to enhance sales and marketing analysis and security. They are going to, help in managing the performance management system in an organization. They have the potential to change the nature of work and the structure of workplace. Look at it. Virtual reality. Yeah, people know virtual reality just because of gaming experience, isn't it? But it'll go beyond. It's coming in recruitment these days. Virtual reality, training and development. A big piece where companies are exploring virtual reality. Digital twins, I don't know how many of us know about digital twins. I learned about it 2 days back. Yeah. Digital twins, in the context of Internet of Things, if you look at, they could significantly improve enterprise decision making, okay? Improving operations and enhancing performance. Yeah. Conversation platforms, we know some of them are already there. Alexa, Siri, they are already there. Okay, using these conversation platforms, it will enable employees to talk to members across the organization more effectively, more efficiently. Look at them. So what does it mean for HR? And I'm talking specifically of HR, but I'm sure you would be able to draw some parallels in other streams also. So what does it mean for HR here? What does it mean for HR? Any idea? So much of technology is coming. What does it mean for HR? Okay. So what are the implications for people, specifically for people who are getting into HR or will get into HR or are practicing HR? I mean, what are some of the implications? Okay. How does this entire thing affect? If technology is going to help you understand people, then what will HR do? Okay. Think about, yeah, sorry. Okay. Human element would be, so now HR will move towards managing machines, right? Is that what you're saying? Okay. So I mean, interesting thoughts, but think about it for a moment. uh, Say for example, if you are an HR in an organization or busy with recruitments, but now there's a lot of tools available. They will shortlist resumes for you, machines will shortlist resumes for you, they will judge the personality, they will give you the data points, collect the data points. What is that you would do? I mean, let me complete. For example, artificial intelligence, okay, will throw up so much of data for you, which you cannot do practically just by, going through pieces of paper. It's not possible, the kind of data that will come. Look at it, artificial intelligence will make it easier for you to develop training programs, okay, to give an experience to your employees. What will you do? Now in my view, okay, what does it mean for HR? Time saving technologies will free up HR teams to serve as strategic advisors within the organization, and that's going to be a big shift. I'm not saying they are not right now, okay, but most of the organizations that I have seen in my career, and most of the HRs in those organizations, even if they want to, they're not able to, work on this particular aspect. Right? We are busy in recruitment, we are busy in CVs, we are busy in personality tests, we are busy in drawing new interventions, we are busy in payroll, we are administrating, we are delivering programs, so many things which is keeping us busy. But if technology is going to help you do all that, which means if you are an HR, you have more time. And if you have more time, then you need to be, strategic advisor to business, and that's one big shift. That's one big implication for HR. Second, the greatest challenge would be the ability to create learning organizations. Think about it. The amount of change, rate of change that is happening right now. What would happen? Organizations will always remain learning organizations. What do you think happened? What do you think happened with ambassadors, the Nokias and the Kodaks of the world? They were not learning organizations. They were not able to keep up the pace of their learning, and that's going to be one big change. And this particular challenge is going to accelerate further. It's not going to go away. It's not going to diminish. It's going to accelerate further, and that's going to be a big thing. So what is a learning organization? I just thought about, let me talk about it. Peter Sage introduced this term learning organization for the very first time in his book called The Fifth Discipline. He says that learning organization where people continually expand their capacity to create results they truly desire. Okay, to create results they truly desire, where companies continuously innovate their products and services to stay ahead of the competition, where talent is used to its full potential, where people are continually learning how to learn together. And learning has a as a misconnotation also. People think learning means classroom, people think learning means uh, online. Yes, they are part of learning and development, but that's not classically what I'm talking about here. Always staying in your learning zone, which means knowing why you are succeeding, which means knowing why you are failing, which means what you need to do differently, which means what you need to innovate, isn't it? And that's important going forward. So if all these things are important as far as the mindset shifts are concerned, what are some of the shifts in the mindset that we need to make? And again, more so from an HR perspective, what are the changes in the mind shift? So from, and these are the shifts I think we need to make, from a recruiter, from a data collector, from a payroll manager, a process implementer, somebody who responds to change, someone trying to put traditional organization systems and structures in place, someone who's polite and trying to police. That's the way currently, if you look at most of the HR's work, that's their mindset, isn't it? Recruiter, data collector, payroll, process, responding to change, org structures, polite and police. That's where we are, and this needs to change. Where? To sole purpose of HR going forward is to drive business. That's what I think. That is where we are. That is what we have to do. We have to manage culture. We have to create a learning organization. We have to accelerate the change. Okay. We have to build organizations which are agile. Okay, which are nimble, as some of my colleagues were talking about it. Fluid organization systems and processes, and move from being polite and police to partner and player. How the evolution of HR has been. HR is not a very old organization. I think it started in 1905, and initially, we were politely advocating people, isn't it, on people practices. Then we moved to compliance. Okay, implement systems, process, measurement, which means we were policing. HR was, what was HR doing? It was policing. Now, if you look at most of the organization, you see HR business partners, isn't it? So we have moved to that stage. But we have to take one more step ahead where HR has to become a major player, okay, in the scheme of things. And that's important. A major player in the scheme of things. And in order to do that, okay, there are a lot of shifts which we need to make. But since we are talking about driving business, I thought let me talk about what business is for a moment. And I'm sure that in your management books, you would have come across various definitions, various perspectives. I mean, maybe I would change them or give you some fresh perspectives, whatever you do. What is business? In my view, business is equal to convenience. Heard about it? Business is equal to, let me give you some examples. Look at the way the transport business has evolved. What did primitive human beings invent in order to move from one place to the other? In the very beginning, boats made out of wooden logs, then ships, then came the wheel, isn't it? Then the air. It has been evolving. But what the problem that we are trying to solve is we want to make our travel convenient. That's the problem. So business is equal to convenience. Look at e-commerce. What problem we are trying to solve? We want it convenient for everybody to shop at any point in time. Anything that you want at a click of the button, isn't it? Uber, Ola, okay, it is making it convenient for you to hire a taxi at any point in time, sitting at your home through an app. So business is equal to convenience. That's what I think. And for convenience, people pay money, isn't it? We pay money for convenience at the end of the day. Okay. And how is convenience coming into the picture? Through technology. So technology is equal to convenience, because because the convenience that we are having right now is all because of technology. Yeah. And technology is then equal to money, right? Isn't it? So going forward, there are four key skills that HR would need, okay, in my opinion. First, consulting skills, which are very important. HR people, because your time is free now, need to have consulting skills. We are able to ask thought-provoking questions to business, and it's important, and you are able to share your perspective. Second, what is important is to measure what's important and not what's easiest. Okay, it's very important to measure number of training days, but it's difficult to measure the impact your training days are creating. So measure what's important and not what's easiest. Next is fearlessness. I think that HR need to adopt this mindset going forward. Being fearless, ask tough questions to businesses, and talk results. Don't talk numbers. I mean numbers in terms of number of training days or cost of recruitment. Talk about results. Whatever your initiatives are paying at the end of the day. Okay, and last but not the least, okay, technology is and will continue to accelerate this transformation further. So thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for informative talk on changing the technologies like AI, intelligence app, virtual reality, digital twins, etc., and their implications in HR.
The session was indeed an eye opener for all of us. This has set the right momentum for our further discussions related to the theme. The forum is now open to all the students for asking questions or sharing their opinion on the theme.
A really good morning to my prominent speakers here. So I'm here to ask a question from all of you. Is that so I will be choosing HR or finance as my specialization. So given the skilling part, eventually being able to build upon the competence, how we as students should approach or view skilling ourselves, making sure that we are in sync to the industrial trends. Should I repeat?
Okay, thank you. So if I hear you correct, you are saying how do you go about choosing your specialties?
Uh, it's like skilling part to build upon my competence as a
Okay,
student.
okay.
Should have, yeah.
Okay, the first thing, and that's what we advocate generally is to first to, how do you understand yourself? Okay, so what now, what nowadays, people have started doing is trying to do strength assessments, right? The idea is first identify your own innate natural talents. What is it that you are good at? So if it is whether it is finance or HR or whichever stream you want to choose, you need to first figure out what is your inherent talent. What is it that you are very good with? Okay, what is it that you are able to perceive better? Then you have to learn to convert that into your strength, which will become your skill in the future. Once you develop your skill, and the way to convert talent into strength, would you know? Can anybody take a guess about how do you convert your talents, inherent talents, into your strength?
Hard work.
By by practice by practice by investing your time, energy, effort into that, and converting that into your strength. The moment you are able to convert your inherent talent into strengths, then it becomes very easy to develop your own skills in whichever area you go to. For me, for example, if you take my example, I have moved from talent to marketing to communications to human resource, other aspects of human resource, to learning and development and talent management. So what I have done is I have not learned specific skills to do my job. There are certain overall overarching themes and skills that you build once you have been able to build your strengths. If you are able to, number one, identify your talent, and there are many ways to do it, by the way, you are able to build upon your talent and change and transform them into your strengths and skills, then it will be very easy for you to change or make that shift into building your competence into whichever area you go to.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes. Thank you. I'd like to add on, I think when you focus, you stay updated, you have to observe the market. I understood your question in that way. So once you have chosen, so how do you know that is actually, this is the requirement and this is the tendency to go, or the trend, of development, right? Yes, ma'am. So I think that's, you have to keep an eye on things. And then I think focus come into the picture and you have to decide. You have to cut off other things. Otherwise you get crazy. When you try to do it all, you will end up doing nothing.
Yes,
So I think stay updated.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. I will. Thank you.
A very good morning to all the dignitaries. I have a couple of questions which I have to put up. It's kind of a tough question for me because everyone has actually delivered a point of excellence, so I'm getting a bit confused who to ask. But yeah, since we are a bit of time constraint, I'm going to restrict my question to Ms. Blossom Kochhar and to Ms. Jasmine. So I'll start with Kochhar, ma'am. Ma'am, you were telling about the types of skills prominently being technical skills and human skills, right? And then you also talk about the importance of self-grooming and outer presentation of a person. So you being an entrepreneur of such amazing kind and I being a personal admirer of your brand, I want to ask you, which is more important for you? Is it technical skills, advanced technical skills with great outer presentations, or advanced human skills but with mediocre or basic grooming or outer presentation skills?
Hello. Yeah, thank you. I think everything is important. You have to have a rounded kind of personality. But one thing that really has helped me right through is my love for people. And, that is very, very important. The way you deal with people, the way you come across. I think, like I must say, everything is. Grooming is a very important aspect. Since I'm in the beauty industry, I definitely can't go around, with a bad skin or not well groomed. So grooming, and not just me, I think grooming for everybody, it is an important aspect. And your technical skills is very, very important, because if you cannot produce, you may look fantastic, you may talk fantastic, but if you can't produce, then it's only short-lived. So it is a rounded thing. It has to be the complete. Like I said, it has to be your education and it has to be your skilling, both together. It has to go.
So as if it goes hand in hand and we have to
Yes,
develop on both of them.
everything. You have to really work on both of them. Okay.
Thank you. Other question being from
That was-
Jasmine, ma'am. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry, I'm a bit of habit of that. Okay. So other question being, you were telling about the different sort of toxic people that we encounter in our lives, and that you were saying that we should always go for what our heart says to, and we should put our effort into it. But in situations sometimes, okay, if I am having a thing of my own and I can get away, I can rid of the toxic people, I can say, okay, I don't want you to work from me, and that is fine. But what if I'm working in an organization, when you're in corporate and we being a freshers, as we would put out a word in the real sake, that would get tough for us. So how do we deal with toxic people then? If our seniors, if our managers are some sort of toxic people, we can't tell them to, just go ahead and just fire ourselves because we are not in that position. So what are we supposed to do at that time without hampering our work performance?
That is a good question. Thank you.
So much.
We can't fire everybody around us. However, if you are an entrepreneur, sometimes you also have to fire your clients when they don't do any good for you. So when you are in a chain, so everything is in a system, so you can't avoid completely maybe somebody who is very negative, or you receive that person very negative. However, there are ways, maybe not that extreme, but towards that you can get, away from that person, or, not getting close with each other. So there are some ways in between. There's black and white. As we can do this, the extremes are very easy usually. But, in this grayish, we have to, dance around, I would say. So, and when you work for somebody and you have a co-worker or colleague or something, so this could be also managed in a professional manner, I would say. So you can also request to work maybe with somebody else, to sit somewhere else, etc. And not not pointing out that that person is, bad per se or negative. So, but maybe about, the aura, the atmosphere, the the things they put into the world, I would say. So we have to distinguish. One is about the acting, what somebody is doing, and the other one is, the part is the person. So it's not against the person, but it's about, what characteristics, what they live. So we have to distinguish.
So I think it's like we have to balance on the gray part for the sakes being, I guess.
In some way.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. So can I say something even though you didn't ask this
No,
question
please,
to me?
please do. Please go ahead.
Uh, close your eyes and pray. I'm joking. Uh, in fact, one of the skills which is difficult to learn, but somewhere in our lives we realize a point that we need to learn is ability to have dialogue. Okay? Ability to manage tough conversations. I mean, if you don't like your boss for something that he is doing or she is doing, how do you approach that person and talk about it? I mean, ability to have that skill even to go to your parents and talk about it, to go to your kids to talk about it, go to your colleagues and talk about it, ability to have dialogue. More so when there are three things which are present in any situation. What are these three things? Number one, differences of opinion. Isn't it? If you disagree with someone, that's first ingredient of any tough conversation, differences of opinion. Second ingredient of any tough conversation is when your emotions are really pumping,
That happens.
isn't it? And the third one is when stakes are high. Whenever these three ingredients are present in any conversation, irrespective of the person on the other side, it is no longer a routine conversation. It is a critical one, it is a tough one. And ability to get into dialogue, okay, in these kind of scenarios means that 90% of the time you have to manage yourself in these discussions, not the other person, and that's an important skill. And the good news is there are books available in the market. Okay, there are enough programs which are available. You can get a hang of them, read them. I think you will get these skills.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
think it would do good. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's really good.
To
And
add
I'm-
on, there's a distinction between what somebody's doing, and somebody is, who this person is, or, who you are. When somebody is really negative and had a lot of stuff inside going on, it spreads out. You can feel it. You can't talk it away. And I completely agree with you when we talk about, yeah, a conversation which we should not avoid, but go and conquer in a professional way, in a good way. But what she asked, that's what I understood, is really when you have a very bad feeling about somebody. And it's not about the way of talking, but it's about the person is. So it doesn't mean that this person will stuck up and will, never, transform or whatsoever. But I think this is maybe the distinction. So I don't know in which direction you went, but I love this comment.
Yeah, but if you think that the person is important and relationship is important for you, okay, then we need to develop this ability, okay, irrespective of whoever the person is. If that relationship is not important for you, you can avoid it, okay. And there are usually three things we do in these kind of circumstances when it comes to hiding our true feelings. One is we try to avoid that person. We don't want to talk about that situation, or we sugarcoat our feelings, or we mask our feelings. But does it really happen in long? I mean, help you in long run? I mean, it doesn't, because whatever is there inside you, it is simmering, and one day it will come outside. And when it will come outside, it's not because of what has happened at that moment. It is something that has been accumulating in your brain and in your heart, okay, for many months. And then when it comes out at that point in time, okay, we are really going to screw up, because we will not be able to manage ourselves. We will not be able to manage that relationship at that point in time. Okay, so there are a lot of self-help books in this area. You can get anyone to read and
So I think now that there's two school of thoughts, and okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, now I'm going to give you a very practical and simple thing to both of them because both of them are very correct.
Yeah.
Okay? But and the best way to do this is to just I'm going to give you a body language one. Just cross your legs like this and just cross your hands like this. And believe it or not, you're not going to feel anything after that. It just goes off. Okay?
It is actually. Thank you so much.
So that was the last question for this session. Thank you, audience. We started with the race of hare and tortoise, and during the session, we learned how to win over our life's race by effectively overcoming the technological and skill-based hurdles that come our way. We thank our respected speakers again for sharing their wise words with us.
We would now request Ms. Namita Garg, Dean Placements, to present a token of respect and admiration to our esteemed guests.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now request everyone to proceed for high tea. We will reassemble at 12:25.